Hey there, and welcome to my channel. Have you ever found yourself saying, I just don't know why I can't stop? Or maybe you've said, I quit, but I always end up going back. If that sounds familiar, I want you to know there's a real reason for it. It's not about being weak or flawed. It's something that runs much deeper, tied to anxiety and unhealed trauma. In this video, we're going to explore why anxiety is so often the true driver behind addiction, and why simply trying to use willpower to quit rarely, if ever, works in the long run. This isn't just about stopping a behavior. It's about understanding what's underneath it. Let's get into it. People who live with chronic anxiety often exist in a state where their own body feels unsafe. It's like living with a constant, low-grade alarm system that never shuts off. Every single day can feel like danger is just around the corner, or that something terrible is about to happen, even if there's no logical reason for it. Your mind might be racing with 1,000 thoughts at once, your heart won't slow down, and your emotions feel so big they're overwhelming. The thoughts in your head feel too loud, and the idea of just relaxing feels impossible. When you're living in that state of constant internal chaos, substances like drugs or alcohol offer something more than just numbing the pain. They create a temporary feeling of safety, a brief moment of quiet in the storm. For a little while, the alarm system goes silent, the racing thoughts stop, the tense muscles relax, and you can finally breathe. That feeling of safety, that brief escape from the inner turmoil, is what becomes so addictive. It's not just about the substance itself. It's about the relief it provides from a body and mind that feel constantly under threat. Now let's talk about trauma, because it teaches you to escape. If you grew up in an environment filled with yelling, constant pressure, fear, or chaos, your developing nervous system learned a crucial survival skill: find a way to escape the discomfort. Maybe your parents were unpredictable, or you experienced emotional abandonment, neglect, constant shame, or bullying. In those situations, your body and mind learned that feeling your feelings was dangerous. The only way to cope was to check out, to disconnect, to get away from the overwhelming sensations. As an adult, that same survival mechanism is still active. But now, instead of just daydreaming or hiding in your room, substances become the ultimate escape hatch, the one you never had as a kid. Using becomes a way to instantly transport yourself away from the discomfort that your childhood taught you was unbearable. It's a learned response, a deeply ingrained pattern of survival that your body defaults to whenever old feelings of fear, shame, or chaos surface. This is exactly why willpower fails time and time again. People who don't understand trauma will often say things like, "Why don't you just stop?" But what they don't see is that you're not just battling a substance. You're battling a lifetime of ingrained fear and panic. You're fighting against old memories that still live in your body, and you're wrestling with deep, unresolved emotional pain. You're up against a dysregulated nervous system that is constantly sending signals of danger. And you're dealing with a profound sense of insecurity that might have been with you since childhood. Your brain has been conditioned for years, maybe even decades, to avoid discomfort at all costs. You can't just will your way out of that. No amount of willpower can overpower a dysregulated nervous system that is screaming for safety. It's like trying to hold back a tidal wave with your bare hands. It's not a fair fight. I want to share a bit about my own experience. I used to think my problem was with certain substances, but I was wrong. I wasn't addicted to drugs. I was addicted to what they gave me. I was addicted to the silence they created in my otherwise chaotic mind. I was addicted to the feeling of calm, the temporary confidence, the illusion of connection, and the sense of peace. In other words, I was addicted to all the things I desperately needed but never got in my childhood. It wasn't until I had a full-blown panic disorder at 23 that I was forced to confront the real truth. The panic attacks stripped away all my coping mechanisms and left me face to face with the raw fear that had been running my life. That's when I finally understood. My addiction wasn't rooted in the substances themselves. It was rooted in a deep, bone-crushing fear. So, why do you keep going back? Why does relapse happen, even when you want to stop more than anything? First, the anxiety becomes overwhelming. When you stop using, the raw, unfiltered anxiety comes roaring back, and your brain screams for relief. At that point, it's not about seeking pleasure. It's about ending the pain. Second, your emotions feel too big to handle because you were likely never taught how to process them in a safe and healthy way. They feel like a flood, and you reach for the familiar dam. Third, your nervous system is still unstable. Your body literally feels unsafe without the substance that used to regulate it. Fourth, the withdrawal process itself can amplify all the old trauma. When you stop using, you're not just dealing with physical symptoms. You're suddenly exposed to all the pain and fear you were trying to numb. And finally, your identity may have become tied to the escape. You might not even know who you are without this behavior. The idea of living without your primary coping mechanism can be terrifying. So, how do you finally break this pattern for good? The key is to shift your focus. First, you have to address the anxiety. Early recovery must include anxiety treatment. You can't heal the root cause if you're constantly in a state of panic. Second, you must actively create safety in your life every single day. This can look like consistent breathwork, establishing a solid routine, meditation, keeping your environment clean and calm, and using somatic tools to help regulate your nervous system. Third, it's crucial to understand emotional flashbacks. When you feel that intense wave of fear or shame, it's often your body reliving an old fear from the past, not reacting to a new threat in the present. Recognizing this can change everything. Fourth, you have to rebuild your self-worth from the ground up. You must become someone who believes they deserve peace and healing. And fifth, you need to learn to replace escape with expression. Instead of running from your emotions, you have to learn to sit with them, feel them, and let them move through you safely. I want you to hear this loud and clear. You don't use because you are weak or flawed. You use because your anxiety and trauma became too heavy to carry on your own. But that doesn't have to be the end of your story. Your story can change, and that change can start today. Thank you so much for watching. If this video resonated with you, please consider liking it and subscribing for more content. You are not alone in this.